excessive barking is actually an indication that something is going wrong.
You're saying that give the 15 minutes but engage with
Yes, you're on your phone. And what is the poor dog doing? He's waiting for you. Oh my God, I need to go and sniff there.
What is the difference between the cats and the dogs?
Cats are like, boss, I'm coming to you. You don't come to me. I don't need to be disturbed.
By
How should they socialize it?
So by socialize, I don't mean that get two dogs together for a play date. Let them explore different environments. Let them smell different things. Let them hear different noises.
It's been 2 years. We haven't stepped out for dinner as a family because whenever we leave the house, the dog is barking. Society people are worried, but he's doing it because he knows if he starts barking,
He'll come back.
Yes. So he's actually trained the owner. So I tell him, see sir, I'm sorry. उसने आपको train किया है.
Welcome to the Happy Podcast, the ultimate destination for all things that make pets and their humans happy. I'm your host Sonali Bendre, and this is IC Behel. And on this show, we will talk about everything that contributes to the joyous coexistence of pets and their beloved humans. We have discussed so many things together about you and your furry child. पर जब इतनी सारी बातें कर लेते हैं, इतनी अलग अलग चीज़ों के बारे में बात करते हैं, तो चांसेस आर कि या तो कुछ चीज़ें छूट जाती है या कुछ चीज़ों के बारे में कंफ्यूजन हो जाता है. Okay. Today we are joined by two very special guests, Sagar Badkere and Dr. Rubina Furtado. Sagar Badkere is the founder of Journey Canine Raw Food and co-founder of EduPet India with over 13 years of experience in the pet industry. As a certified canine nutritionist, Sagar is deeply passionate about canine health. His career began with managing pet shops, grooming parlors, and dog boarding facilities. Motivated by the advantages of raw feeding, he committed to providing high-quality, species-appropriate nutrition for dogs in India. Sagar strives to make raw feeding accessible and educate pet parents on its benefits. And the other guest today is Dr. Rubina Furtado, who has offered charitable services in medicine for a decade and a half before she took up the cause of the mute strays. What started out as a cursory feeding of sick animals led to medical care and championing the cause of adoption to ease the streets. Systemic shortfalls in the pet care industry inspired her to open a holistic facility which offers pet parents an option to retrain their pets to fit in a post-COVID environment. She can be followed at bundles.off.joy for her rescue work and at the Ohana_Thane for her animal behavior services. We will be exploring some common myths about our favorite pets and also go into decoding animal behavior. So, Sagar and Dr. Rubina, let's start with the big question. Are dogs and cats truly carnivores by birth?
So dogs and cats have evolved from wolves and tigers. So throughout evolution, if you see the hierarchy of where they come from, they fall under the order Carnivora in the animal kingdom. But dogs have learned to eat certain things for survival, which are plant-based things.
Like?
Fruits, vegetables, herbs, seeds. They are not obligate carnivores like cats. Cats need meat to survive, whereas dogs can survive on fruits and vegetables as well, or a vegetarian diet as well.
Really?
They can survive on plant-based material. Some people tend to believe that they are omnivore. But if you see, omnivores is a spectrum of animals. So at the very extreme end are carnivores, and on the other end are herbivores.
Right.
If you see a fox, which is more to the carnivore side, which eats about 80% of meat and 20% of vegetation, is also considered as an omnivore. Whereas a bear who eats 80% of vegetation and 20% of meat is also considered as an omnivore.
Right.
But if you...
I didn't know the percentages were so different.
Yeah. But if you exchange their diets with each other, neither will do well.
Right.
And hence, we, from my study and our line of thought, we say dogs are carnivores. So they are facultative carnivores who would survive on a plant-based diet, but they would thrive on an animal-based diet, a meat-based diet.
The difference is the percentage.
The difference is
You
the percentage.
can call them, yes, they will survive on a plant-based diet and you can give them that.
Correct.
But it's the percentage that you give.
Yes.
And yeah, and who more than me to understand about what is surviving and what is thriving? I always tell everybody that, when they say that you're a survivor because of the illness I went through, and I'm like, I don't want to be a survivor, I want to be a thriver.
Correct.
And as pet parents, we all want our babies to thrive. But there are families and homes that are vegetarian. What do you think they should do which would be good for the pet also, and yet can take care of what it is that they want at home, that they don't cook meat at home or something like that?
So in fact, we do have a lot of vegetarian clients.
Okay.
The idea is that we need to make them understand they should not be pushing their beliefs and their religious beliefs onto their dogs.
Okay.
If a dog is a carnivore and requires meat to thrive, feeding it a herbivorous diet is
Not fair.
Yeah, is not fair, to put it
Yeah.
lightly. Yes.
So what kind of percentage do you think where dogs are concerned? What is the percentage of their, in the omnivore category? How much percentage
They
is
are
like?
right
Is it
next
like
to
a fox?
foxes. They are right next to foxes. They are facultative carnivores. So they would eat 80 or more % of meat and less than 20% of vegetation.
And what about cats?
Cats, on the other hand, are obligate carnivores. Cats are very similar to lions and tigers. So they require...
Don't want the vegetarian.
They don't
They are
require...
strictly carnivore. Cats are strictly carnivore. You cannot move them to be an omnivorous, a herbivorous, nothing. Just strictly carnivore.
So what is the theory of cats loving milk?
Just because you don't have an option, you've been given. The ones which are on the street who are hungry will just have anything what is thrown to them. They'll even have a chapati, a roti which you throw, right?
Okay.
It's just hunger which leads to that. They're not
Okay.
going to be able to digest it as such. Adding to what Sagar has portrayed just now, when it comes to dogs, the question that you have put forward about being carnivore or omnivore or herbivore is like, it's not as simple as it seems to be. And I keep having this argument with Sagar since 3 days. We're having this discussion.
Yeah.
Dogs were labeled and classified as being omnivore.
Right.
Okay, because they have been domesticated.
Right.
So over the period of years, they have developed adaptive genes. That's why they can settle indoors with you and me today.
Right.
They have developed an adaptive metabolism, which allows them to break down grains. There are 3 genes which have been found which can digest starch and glucose and carbohydrates.
Okay.
But yes, if you go to see, when we talk in terms of behavior, they still love to dig, like what wolves do.
Yeah.
They still love to hide, like the wolves were
Yeah.
considered to be hiding their food and then
Right.
going and eating. They still do that today.
Yeah.
Their teeth are still fashioned to tear, shred,
Right.
They still do that. They
Yeah.
love doing that. They love to chew,
Yeah.
right? So you still see they have the innate behavior from where they have evolved as wolves, which goes along. But they have a very low fermentative index, which comes
Okay.
from science. I'm talking from the point of science to you,
Yeah.
where they can digest it very slowly in comparison to a herbivorous animal. Though they may survive, they will not thrive. They will not have the maximum benefit which they're supposed to get, the nutrients from a plant-based.
But there are times, because, doctor, you take care of strays a lot. And, you find that when people look after strays, it's not an easy thing to do. Like, all of us want to do a lot of things, but it's not always practical to do it. So a lot of times, out of goodness of their heart, people feed the strays with the leftovers from their home. They'll say, rather than wasting it, let's feed the strays. And quite frankly, when I look at it that way, they're getting a meal which otherwise the strays
They
would not
have.
get. So in a situation like that, what would you say? I mean, it's okay. Is it so bad if they get some vegetarian food?
I don't tell people. I also have many people, pet parents coming to me, at my center, the Ohana. And I do face this problem where they are strict Brahmin families. We cannot differ from the fact that everybody is going to cook meat in all of the house. I do explain to them as to what's going to happen.
What is going to happen?
We said we do see a change in the skin, in the hair, in the ability, physical ability of the dog to do a lot more. okay, in the activity of the dog is a lot more.
How does the old age of the dog get affected by?
So what happens when we are comparing a vegetarian diet and a meat-based diet, the nutrients in the meat are more bioavailable for the dogs. What this means is that their digestive system is designed in a certain way throughout evolution to extract nutrition and absorb it in the body when it comes from an animal source. For example, let's take proteins. So when you feed meat, you're giving them protein. When you feed dal, you're giving them protein. But the protein in dal is not as bioavailable as it comes from meat.
Absolutely.
So the digestion is not optimum. When the digestion is not optimum, there's a lot of wastage. And then you see the first sign is that your dog's poop will be much larger in quantity on a vegetarian diet. Carnivorous diet, it is going to be, it will be less than 1/3.
Okay.
Because everything is getting absorbed in the body and whatever is thrown out is purely waste.
But Sagar, you talk about raw food, and could you explain that a bit?
As I said, we come from a background where we believe that dogs are carnivores. So throughout evolution,
But
right?
carnivores and raw food is different.
So what
You mean
would
to say that
an
don't
animal
cook the meat?
Yes.
That's what he's talking about, raw food today being a concept.
So what would an animal eat in the wild?
No, I
Does
understand.
anyone go there to cook their
No.
food for them? No.
But the dogs are not in the wild. They are
Correct.
at home.
But their digestive system is still very similar to that of a dog who would be in the wild. So what we are saying here is that, see, not everyone can do a raw diet, or not everyone can do a...
Obviously, the mouth must be smelling different. And,
Absolutely not.
Our, like you can see, she's in my face all the
Yeah.
time. And
It will be a lot of inhibition because here many of us are not even ready to feed a non-veg diet to our dogs, right?
Yeah.
If you look at the two sides of the frame, do I want to give a non-veg diet? Do I want to give a raw diet? Do I want to give a vegetarian diet? It all bundles up to that you need to understand the bioavailability, the biological, species appropriate diet, which is being propagated today by most of the experts in this field.
Right.
That it has to be species appropriate diet.
a lot of times you're told that, like even if it is raw eggs or whatever, it's like, the chances of infection and everything is much more. So you're told to cook
Yes.
and give the
Correct.
food.
The nutrition in eggs is extremely basic, which means it is easy to digest for everyone.
Okay.
And hence eggs can be, we were able to have raw eggs without getting a bacterial infection. When we are talking about dogs you can feed them eggs raw, cooked, semi-cooked, however you want. Eggs are excellent for dogs. When the protein in the egg is in its most basic form, it has a certain molecular structure. When you start applying heat to it, the molecular structure will change. The more heat you apply or the more process you put that ingredient through, the molecular structure of that ingredient of the nutrition will go on changing. And as it goes on changing, it will be more difficult for dogs to absorb it.
Like with the food myth that you've busted, there is myth about their behavior also. Like every time a wagging tail doesn't mean that the dogs are happy, or every time cat purring is not like it's satisfied.
When you have something like jumping, a dog is jumping on you.
Right.
Okay, when you enter into the home or when you're on the road, when you see with the strays, they try to jump. The first thing is, kutta kaatega, dekho kaatne aa raha hai.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
we all have this fear that no, the dog is going to bite me.
Yeah.
But no, it can just be excitement. It can just be happiness that it's trying to exhibit to you. The other thing is mounting. When the dog is mounting.
Right.
Right? In
Yeah.
other words, like we say it's humping. It doesn't mean that it's just doing it for sexual arousement. The dog is doing it out of excitement. It may do it out of boredom. It may do it out of attention seeking from you. He's trying to tell you something.
What is it that they're trying to tell us?
It could be anything. It could be in stress. That is where the trigger, you need to see when, where is it doing it? What is the trigger point? The other thing is resource guarding, which comes to me very often. My dog is very possessive about this toy. My dog is very possessive about this cushion. People come and tell me, no, madam, I can't take this toy. Nahi nikalta mere se, wo kaat lega, ye karega. So you have to understand that resource guarding is also a normal behavior for the dog.
Yeah, that's
because
true.
they're doing it on the road. They have to do it on the road. They have to do it in the wild. It's a survival instinct
Absolutely.
for them, right? So many behaviors, barking. How on earth do they communicate otherwise? People tell me, You know, when somebody walks in the house, the dog starts barking. So I look at them and I say, okay, oh, hello kaise bolega, sir?
Or how will it tell you that there's someone
There
at
is
the
somebody.
door?
So there's like an alert. It will do to alert you. The dog will do it for, to show happiness when you walk inside the house. The dog can do it to show that it's scared. Okay, okay, look, there's something coming. I'm scared. You need to protect me. The other time, he will do a bark, or he will just do it because he's bored, simply bored. I have nothing to do. I'm not getting enough exercise. Separation anxiety, which we are seeing so much today. People tell me, I know an incident where a family came to me saying that it's been 2 years. We haven't stepped out for dinner as a family because whenever we leave the house, the dog is barking. Constantly barking. Society people are worried कि क्या हो रहा है? Please sir, your dog is barking. But he's doing it because he knows if he starts barking,
You'll come back.
Yes. So he's actually trained the owner. So I tell him, see sir, I'm sorry. उसने आपको train किया है.
So what do we do to kind of change these habits?
You have to see where they do it, where they do it, and why they do it. You have to see the triggers. So different things, behavior.
So the person who came to you with this problem, what did you tell them? How did you solve? How did they get sorted?
Separation anxiety, Sonali, is a total different concept. It's a total different topic altogether. Lot, because we've seen so many of them happening. Because COVID time, many of them have adopted. They have bought dogs in the house, okay? And today, suddenly, the dog was all the time next to you. Cuddled, in your bed, everything. And today, you're going to work. This is the time we desensitize the dog. We slowly start teaching the pet parent how to manage what the dog is undergoing, the stress, to understand how to make it more active, engage with the dog more, which you have stopped doing today suddenly.
So what would it be? Like you would say, ki dedicate a bit of time.
The time can just be 15 minutes for a walk down. But what do people do when they take their dogs to walk? Exercise hai, bahar leke gaye, you're on your phone. And what is the poor dog doing? He's waiting for you. Oh my God, I need to go and sniff there.
You're just like you're saying that give that 15 minutes, but engage with them.
Yes, because that makes a bond between you and your dog.
What is the difference between the cats and the dogs?
The cats were never needy companions.
Yeah.
Right? The cats are like, boss, I'm coming to you. You don't come to me. Yeah. I don't need to be disturbed, isn't it? So cats were never needy.
Yeah.
It was always a dog who's been a needy companion because they've evolved with us. They're domesticated with us. And like I said, they've adapted to our needs.
Yeah.
I live with five cats and 2 dogs. Yes, I live with 5 dogs.
5 cats and 2 dogs.
Yes, I live with them.
That's a house full.
Yeah, that's a house full, true. It's like a zoo, mini zoo, I can say. I still have to add up. But yeah, cats like to be independent. You just have to give them good food, litter. If they need there, I'm coming to you. You touch me, you purr me, I'm going. Done. But dogs always need you around.
Yeah.
So when you come to me, most of the people have lost this bond and touch. So that is where we train them. And that's where separation anxiety, the whole process starts.
So you can say that sometimes when you're struggling with, like, say, excessive barking, and that's like a behavioral issue. Oh my God, my dog is having this huge behavioral issue. It can actually, what you need to do is understand where is it stemming from and kind of address that.
I want to say something very important here. Excessive barking is actually an indication that something is going wrong. Please don't look at it as an abnormal behavior. Okay? You have to understand that the dog is trying to say something to you. It can be if he's in pain, there is a medical issue. So the first thing when people say my dog is suddenly excessively barking, then listen, please get a medical checkup done.
Right.
Secondly, he is doing it out of happiness sometimes when you're coming in at home. Look whether he's very happy, your excitement, your approach to the dog also matters. If you come home and say, oh, Tommy, hi, I'm here. Yeah, the dog is going to get excited also. So he's also talking to you, right, in his words. So you need to be calm and approach.
It's the pitch you use that they're reciprocating with.
Yes. So it's the same tone of voice. It's his happiness. He's doing it with you.
Yeah.
The other thing is if he's having any kind of trigger, like if he's going down in the dog park, he's seeing some dog, he feels scared. Oh my God, ye kya ho raha hai? Ye aane wala hai. Ye mujhe dara raha hai. Because they are understanding the language with each other. It is there that you need to see, acha, ye jab doggy aata hai, mera dog thoda bhokne zyada lagta hai.
Right.
Listen, look, observe when it is happening.
Right.
Okay. Sometimes he's just bored. Chala gaya khidki ke paas, ek panchi uda. How? And you're like, क्या है ये क्या कर रहा है?
Yeah.
Suddenly you're on your phone and your dog is sitting there trying to gain your attention. आप ध्यान ही नहीं दे रहे. तो बेचारा करे तो क्या करे? बैठ के भाव, or he's howling.
So it's just their way of
communicating, which we forget. It is a communication. It's the only way they communicate with humans and with the animals around them. Okay. So look at it, whether it's an indicator, whether it is just something that it's boredom, whether you are falling short of something which you're supposed to provide to them.
How do you identify that this is beyond what is their regular way of communication or regular,
Yes.
When is it that, you look for it and say that, no, I think I need professional help? How do you identify that?
When is it excessive is the word. When do you use the word कि excessive barking कर रहा है, excessive chewing कर रहा है? That is where it's very important for you to understand. If a dog you see if you walk into the house, okay, and there is a bell ringing, a courier guy comes to your door. It's a stranger, he's going to alert you. He'll bark for a few seconds. Yes, there are means and ways where you need to teach your dog, okay, you turn back and say, okay, stop, I've seen. Okay, it will stop.
Yeah.
So, but he still continuously is on for 15 minutes, half an hour. Like I said, this dog 45 minutes के लिए चला जा रहा है. But we knew क्यों कर रहा है भाई. He knows ये आने वाले हैं because there are cameras in the house. तो उसको पता था मैं करूँगा. They're going to come back. So you need to see कि 15 मिनट, 20 मिनट ये बंद नहीं हो रहा. Okay, there is something I need to check. The minute it starts happening, and if you reciprocate in that behavior, it is going to get stamped in his brain.
Endorsing it.
ये होने वाला है, boss.
Right, you're endorsing that behavior.
Exactly.
Then.
When is a time that people should look for professional help?
Right.
It is not only when there is a problem. I think people should look for either professional help or advice from an experienced pet parent before they get the pet.
Absolutely.
If you have time enough to take care of the pet, how much time is required? What are the financial implications of getting a pet? Is your house good enough to have a big dog or a small dog?
Right.
So all these things are required.
Or they're so cute when they're puppies and then they grow up.
Exactly.
That means what you need to do is go into it to understand that, go with the points of what is it that I need, what is it that I don't need, and what can be too much for me.
Yes.
And then when you do that, you go to a professional, understand the various needs and functions and, whatever else that is going to be needed.
Also, what to expect when you bring a dog home. People bring a dog, a puppy ले लेते हैं, and then they're like, अरे puppy ना काटता है अभी.
Once the teething starts, वो जैसे chewing करना शुरू हो जाते हैं puppy, they want to give the puppy up.
Yes.
Lot of the times.
Most of the time.
Every time. As people know me because I do rescues and stuff, call आ जाएगा, madam, मैंने लिया था, अब उसने जाके मेरा sofa काट लिया. I know somebody किसी का charger काट लिया. They don't have mobiles. They don't have internet. The only thing is their outlet is go out, sniff, roam, watch the world around them. Because that is what they're doing. But people nahi samajhte. Puppy biting, nipping and mouthing is a normal process. Right? Because at that point of time, the puppy is exploring the world around with his mouth.
Babies do that.
Exactly.
Exactly, yes.
Babies do exactly the same.
So they are going to explore everything around them with their mouth and nose. And what we are trying to do is, no, idhar mat jao. Nahi kaat liya, dekho chilao. I know people have tied pups just because they know that they're going to destroy the home. And what happens with the pup? The pup, poor thing, becomes a dog which is insecure, lacks confidence, and the only thing is fear, which then leads to aggression. So you are actually bringing up a problem.
तो मतलब हम कह सकते हैं कि ये जो myth that a dog is aggressive, वो myth उसका ये है कि aggression आपकी वजह से है. आपकी मतलब किसी human being की वजह से, बचपन में क्या हुआ है, कहाँ पे कुछ insecurity हुई है, और उसकी वजह से वो aggression है.
So to give you an example,
natively aggressive.
होता है. I'm not going to say कि नहीं होता है.
कुछ genetically aggressive
होते हैं.
First thing is people need to understand on how to socialize their dogs. And by
how should they socialize that?
Yeah, so by socialize, I don't mean that get two dogs together for a play date. Socializing begins right from the puppy stage. Like, let them explore different environments, let them look, let them smell different things, let them hear different noises, so that something suddenly, like when you get a dog home and he hears the washing machine for the first time, it is something different for him. And that is going to create an anxiety. The longer that keeps on happening, the longer we let them understand that this is just some noise and it's not going to hurt you, and so on and so on. So this is what is going to socialize the dogs to be in that environment.
With IC, I realized that when you're talking about those noises and how, that's the first thing that I realized that I should have done with her was to, sensitize her to firecrackers. Oh my God, it's so traumatic for them, but it's so difficult to do that.
But that is probably one of the most difficult tasks.
It is. Desensitization to noise is what we're talking about to you right now. Slowly expose your pup to various sounds, whether it's a vacuum cleaner in your house, whether it's even playing loud music in your house. As
thunder,
you expose
lightning.
them, thunder, lightning, which fortunately I don't think we're seeing much, but you keep desensitizing them at a smaller age. Once you have crossed a particular, like 3-4 years, then it's really, really difficult. I get dogs who have come to me who are like 4 years old, but the noise, even if there's, I have a huge half-acre land where it's a lot of greenery, so even there used to be like the leaves rustle, just the wind coming, the rustle of the leaves, the dog would just go like this. He would just freeze. Okay, kya ho gaya types.
Oh.
It is so bad. So it's very, very important for you to socialize, like he said, but not just human beings. हम लोग का concept of socialization रह गया है human beings के साथ, और मेरा dog ने सब dog के साथ खेलना चाहिए, बस यही हो गया है. Nobody thinks कि environment is a very big factor for your dog.
What do you mean by that?
The dog is not accustomed, is never been living in your home. Okay, everything around him is actually a foreign thing. Imagine a dog who loves to stay out in the wild, today is living with you, is sitting on your sofa. Not all dogs love to sit on a sofa.
Okay.
देखो ना.
IC loves it.
But अभी तो नीचे सोइए ना, जमीन पे इतना अच्छा डाला आपने ना, है ना नीचे.
That's true.
So it is very important for us to understand not everything what we may like as humans, which we are coining the word today as humanization, इसको पसंद आएगा.
Right.
Let them dig. जाने दो बाहर, किधर लेके जाओ. Take them for treks. Let them enjoy the sniffing thing. See how the dog's mental state of mind is absolutely a happy dog. People have a problem even if they're coming and sniffing their butts. But how do they greet each other, boss? That's the only way they have learned.
That's true.
तुम्हारा कुत्ता आके क्या है ये? But this is the way. They'll do it for a few seconds.
They greet like that. They identify.
Right? They greet each other. There's another myth I want to bust today is about submissive urination. People tell me, when a stranger comes home or when they know somebody, they just urinate. Okay? They're just going to pee on them. Obviously, the pee is on you, on me, on the guest, whoever has arrived. But then that is something done in excitement. It can happen in fear because they may not be comfortable among so many strangers. You are happy, you know the person, but for him it's like, ye kaun hai bhai? Mere space mein ye kaun aa gaya? So that is the time also. You need not say that it is a failure of toilet training for the dog. Then people say, नहीं मेरा dog ना वो सुसु पॉटी घर में कर लेता है रुबीना, ऐसा नहीं चलेगा. I want him to do, but अगर guest आता है तो he's urinating over there. तो मुझे नहीं चाहिए कि ये होना चाहिए. But understand, maybe he's not comfortable. Look at your dogs. They tell you this.
Yeah.
You can work. That is the time you need to go to a professional and ask them, okay, this is the problem. What is happening? Is my dog happy?
For me, where IC was concerned, in our house, my sister-in-law had a baby girl. And I think IC was used to my son, so it's boys around. And she still has a problem with girls coming home. Yeah,
that's why I didn't get my dog.
She gets envious of
she gets envious. They told me.
She gets envious of girls. She very quickly adapts to the boys, but girls not so much. And when my sister-in-law had a daughter, and after a long time, and there was this little girl, and the child was very used to dogs. Because she had a dog at home also, but IC would get very. That the peeing started then. Every time the child would come home, she would pee.
She's showing her displeasure.
Yeah.
I'm not.
She was not liking it. And she was peeing and barking. And, so I was like, what is happening? And I can understand that she's distressed.
Yes.
But I didn't know how to deal with that. And I did at that point of time, reached out and I got a, professional help. And, she would come in and then we would do certain things together, which then we built an association with her, which was associated with all good things. With IC is very food oriented. So then there was a lot of things that we did with that, or with like one of these snuggly ones, which meant comfort for her. And so every time that the girls started coming home, I would lay out a couple of these things I knew that she's coming. And we would lay it out. Like if I would get this out, then I would sit here and say, you come with me. And the other thing that I realized was slowly, I would not touch the child and pick up the child. even if others are. And she started coming. I said, I'm picking you up. I'm taking you next to me. And then she started calming down.
Yes.
And it took us about a year
To work on it.
And then today she comes, she's still not the happiest with her. She'll bark at her a little, this thing, turn her nose up and come and sit next to me. But we are okay now. We have called, and there's some sort of a truce
yes,
now.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's like I must tell you this.
Socialization.
Yeah, I must tell you this. Yeah. I
thought this was just, this is socializing.
Yes, so this is socializing. So now for IC, whatever was triggering her, now she's learned to tolerate it. Now she's learned to accept it.
Right.
She might not be happy with it, but it is not having an adverse effect on her right now.
Or she is not going to. It's not being a trigger for her to aggressively act on the child. There was a case which came to me 2 months ago. Somebody referred this pet parent to me, 2 of them, very young, just had their new child, like a child of 8 months old. And they have a Labrador. And that lab is about 8 years old now. It seems they called me up saying that the Labrador has bitten their 8-month-old child.
A Labrador?
Yes, the Labrador, one of the most family dog, like you all call it. And I said, okay, what was the trigger? What happened exactly? Can you explain? It was shocking to hear that when the child was born, all the time the Labrador used to be like a baby to them. Right? They cuddle, they slept with it. The lab would sit in their lap and everything and do everything possible, whatever they did for a child. When the baby was born, there was no introduction in the right manner. The dog had resource guarding, food guarding. It had a behavior issue which was never addressed for 8 years. They felt it was normal. ठीक है ना, क्या है, खाना डाल देंगे, हट जाएंगे. The baby and the dog were standing in the kitchen when the food of the dog was being served in the bowl by the grandmother. So he looked, it seemed, one look at the child, and the child was looking up at the bowl. And this guy went and snapped. Fortunately, the baby was treated, did get 7 stitches. But yes, when I told them, why did you address this issue? You know, the dog has resource guarding, food guarding. They said, madam, we never thought it would become such a big problem.
My God.
Yeah, sorry to say, but they still didn't work upon it. So she said that, I said, listen, did the dog tell you that that the dog was not happy? It was a male dog. Was he not happy with the child in the house? She said, now when you're telling me this, I have, when I took the baby in my lap, the lap came and would growl at me. And I would just pick up the baby and give it to my husband.
Oh.
Again, the dog trained her.
You understand?
The dog is training her.
It shows you the growl also is not that the dog is trying to tell you something. So the growl is not just aggression. It is trying to tell you, listen, I'm not happy.
And you're complying, so you're listening. Even now, it's like if my husband takes the girl, she would be like, she gets upset. But then it was more like, okay, she's with me. You also come to me.
Exactly.
And then you take them both and she'll do all of that bit and she'll say, okay. And you can make out literally, you think that everybody says, oh, you're imagining the expressions and, it's not the dog. It's the dialogue in your head. It's not. You can see it that it's like, okay, fine, I'll tolerate it. And, you can she makes those little sound like that and she'll settle down like that next to it. Okay, as long as you're touching me, it's fine. Literally, you can see those expressions. Exactly. So is that a myth that they express?
No, they do express. That's what the growling is telling you. The eyes will talk to you. I always tell people, listen, look in your dog's eyes. They speak a lot, just like humans, Yeah. I think as an actress and all, you know better that your eyes express a lot.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with dogs. They express a lot. They even try to tell you a growl, like people say, acha, ye growl kiya na, abhi hat jao. But that growl could be telling you, see, listen, I'm scared. Okay, on the road, he's looking at something, he's feeling a trigger. He could say, okay, I'm growling.
Yeah. But so you mean to say a growl is not always
No, it's a
anchor.
myth. It's a myth.
Oh.
A growl can also be while playing. Even when you're playing, they will have the best of the toy which you have in your hand. Remember the tug which you play? The dog will go, rrr, rrr, rrr. He's on with it.
Yeah.
He's not doing it out of aggression. He's doing it out of excitement.
There's no excitement there, I can see. She's fast asleep. You have to look at the context and decide what that sound means.
Yes.
So every growl is not aggression.
No.
Or every bark is not some,
It's just not a nuisance.
yeah,
that people
and
feel.
every time they pee when they shouldn't be peeing, it can be telling something so deep-rooted and
Yes.
something very, very
It
important
could be a
to you.
medical thing also. They could
Yeah.
just be having urinary tract infection at that
So
point
it's
of
a
time.
very important
so
message.
It's a very important message.
Try to
Then
understand,
You try
get
to
somebody to help.
understand
Get
what is
help
triggering and get
before
help
it gets,
before. Yeah.
before it gets worse.
Worse.
Right.
Like,
So
don't wait.
for it for it to get out of hand, like
Right.
how it happened with the child who got bitten. You should not wait till that happens.
So do you think that, like a lot of us, even if it is like a baby or not a baby or whatever, like when you were describing them, do you think that when you humanize them too much, that's a problem?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. 110%. When I work with pet parents and pets, when they come to me, I do a board and train thingy. My facility is a board and train because I want to remove the dog from the familiar environment
Right.
and get it into a disciplined manner.
Okay.
Dogs thrive on discipline. Thrive on discipline. Okay, I tell this, listen, you come, survival and tumko survive karna hai, jao. Don't come to me. If you want your dog to be a happy dog,
Yeah.
then you need to come to me.
If you're not going to be the alpha and be strict and put routines in place and discipline in place, then the dog is turning into an alpha.
Yes.
Then you don't like it, and you then like you said with the dog training you, it's then the dog is turning alpha, and then you need to fall into line when the dog tells
You
you.
need to have a balance. Like it's like playing good cop and bad cop.
Yeah, but if the dog is your family member, you have to decide the dog is not the alpha in this
It has
domestic
to be.
situation. So then the dog needs to know who the alpha is. And in that situation, when you growl, and you see mothers do that to the pups, they growl and put them in line.
Yes, yes.
So you need to be doing the same thing.
Yes.
to
You
them.
need to tell them, okay, listen, this is not working. My home, my rules.
Yeah.
You need to
So
follow
that's
this.
not rude behavior.
No, no,
That's
no, no.
not being mean to the dog. That's just
It is
actually
true.
being kind to them.
So
But it is the method in which you're trying to do it. That is important. The way you're communicating with your dog about this thing is what matters.
Right.
Okay, the right communication, the right way of doing it, telling them, Casey, listen, not acceptable
Right.
is
right.
where it is.
So Sagar and Dr. Rubina, is there any myth that I have missed out on and you would like to bust?
The most common myth that we have heard about raw feeding is that dogs turn aggressive when you feed them a raw diet. When I got my dog, people had reservations that, oh, you're getting a Rottweiler. It's an aggressive breed. Then when I started feeding him a raw diet, people are like, you have a Rottweiler who you're feeding a raw diet. He's going to bite everyone at home. And today he's not bitten anyone. It's been 9.5 years. He's more like a therapy dog. He walks, he goes with me wherever, and he's quite calm.
What's his name?
His name is Caesar.
I have one thing to tell people is many of them have this that my puppy was normal throughout. Suddenly now, after 7 or 8 or 9 months, we are seeing a change. All the behavior problems which we feel are behavior issues are suddenly cropping up. Whether it's fear, whether it is aggression, whether it is excessive barking, what we are talking about, whether it's about chewing things around the place. We have to understand at that point of time, the dog is undergoing hormonal changes. Like we say, puberty.
yes, of
right?
course, yes.
So you have to be aware that some things will crop up at that time, and maybe you will need professional help to understand how you can direct that behavior or manage that behavior.
Right.
Even if you have a well-trained dog in the house, if you don't know to use what is being taught to them, it's a failure of the entire
Right.
exercise, Sonali. So how does it help? Where is the
So
dog?
then
at
how
fault?
does it help when you board and train them? How do you train the pet parents? Because
I
they
thought-
need training too.
Absolutely. And a lot of them, it's an issue is the body language, the approach towards the pet. A lot of them have this. And we call them. We have sessions with them. We go home, we teach them, and we do a handover process.
Right.
So the whole environment is then being told. We don't do a lot of changes, but we tell them, okay, see, listen, this is what you're going to do.
You need to understand.
Yes. And every dog has a different personality.
Lot of things that are the myths get busted by the fact once you start understanding the body language and the behavior and understanding what is it that our pet is trying to communicate to us.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's a two-way communication. And a lot of times the problems arise when the pet is trying to communicate, but we as pet parents are not understanding what the pet is communicating, and not just through the barking or the wagging. I mean, these are the main things, but there's so many other cues, the way the ears move, the way, the way the hair stands or doesn't stand. When the hair stands, the whole muscle moves in their body, and you can see all of that.
The erection.
Exactly. And, so there's so much more that is happening.
Yes.
And so the bottom line is, it's how do you communicate?
Yes.
How do you communicate with your fur baby? Also, the choice is yours, that do you want your fur baby to survive or to thrive? Yeah, you've given me a lot to think about. I don't think I'm still open to raw feeding. It's going to take me
some time.
Yeah, maybe never
not,
get there.
Never.
But I understand that it's about percentages. And so I think I will live with that and kind of navigate it through. That's all for today's episode. A big thank you to both of you, Sagar and to Dr. Rubina. I hope you have gained a lot of knowledge and insights into what can be the myths, what you should try, how to get our furry babies to thrive and not just survive. So there's a lot here that we need to digest, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you all for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave us a review. Don't forget to check out our YouTube channel, Rosepod India, for more exciting content. We have many more fascinating topics lined up, so stay tuned for future episodes. Until next time, keep learning and loving your pets. Icy, are you going to wake up? Will you come to me?
She's going to sleep
No,
again.
I don't think she wants to.